For the second time this month and the third time this year, I found myself in New York City. This was a very quick, sudden trip because I got to attend the Sue Morishita Q&A and signing at Kodansha House in New York City. Oh my god! I really didn't expect to be able to go to this event, so I'm super happy that I was able to win a lottery ticket for it. So initially when this event was announced, I just applied because I had the time to be able to go, and I live close enough to New York City that I could go up for the weekend. I live roughly 4 hours from New York City, so it's not impossible to like drive there and back in just one weekend. So I thought to hell with it and applied for it anyway, because what an opportunity, right? So the results were originally announced September 18th, and I did not get an email. So I just wrote it off. I shrugged it off and it was fine. At least I didn't have to go to New York City, right? Wrong. So the Wednesday before the event, so the event was October 4th. And so on October 1st, I got an email that I got a ticket. Oh my god. So I must have been on some sort of wait list or something like that. So I quickly planned a trip to New York City. So on October 4th, I left my house at around 5 a.m., drove up to New Jersey, dropped my car and my stuff off at the hotel that I was staying at because there is no way in hell I am driving in New York City by myself. And then I headed into the city. I ate a really good gluten-free burger and then made my way to Kodansha House. So what is Kodansha House anyway? So Kodansha House started in 2024. So this is its second year running, and it is an immersive fan experience that features exhibits, activations, events, all related to Kodansha's manga titles. They normally highlight just a few series with like sort of an art gallery and other sort of exhibits. They also have interactive activations like photo ops and things like that. And also a few mangaka from some of the series that they feature come and do signings and Q&A. Also at Kodansha House, they have activities like lectures, panels, performances, trivia, speed friending, movie nights. A bunch of stuff happens while the pop-up is going on. I actually went to last year's Kodansha House also, but I just went to look around. I didn't see any events because I was in town for a concert while it was happening. Originally, I wasn't going to go last year, but my favorite Japanese idol went because he was in town, which was a wild weekend. So my friend and I had to do some unhinged oshikatsu and go do the Akira bike slide so we could sit where he sat. Anyway, this year was super leveled up. It was a lot bigger. I think it was something like 3 times as big as last year's pop-up, so that was awesome. There were 2 floors. Last year also had 2 floors, but they were bigger. So there were 2 floors this year. The first floor had a little shop where you can buy manga and some Kodansha House merch. There was a cafe where you could get themed drinks. I ended up getting a lemonade with strawberry syrup in it because all of the themed drinks that were like not coffee were matcha, and I also don't like matcha. Criminal, I know. They also had a manga library that had actually a bunch of shoujo manga in it. I saw Cardcaptor Sakura and other clamp titles. I saw Arisa and a bunch of other ones. There was seating there. And then, of course, there was the exhibits and the activations on that floor. So the activations, they had 3 kind of activations. The first one was one of the ones from last year, and it's kind of like a scale, like small town from Attack on Titan. So you could take like a photo and pretend to be a Titan. There was a Ghost in the Shell video thing, and a blue lock screen thing too. So to be honest, I was not a huge fan of the activations this year. The Akira bike slide from last year was really, really cool. But this year's kind of didn't feel that great. I did the Ghost in the Shell one, but I honestly felt a little overwhelmed because it was just kind of like a large screen and you like looked like you were falling. But like it was kind of underwhelming, and they didn't explain it properly to me. So I thought there was going to be some sort of like video that was being taken of you doing this, or like some sort of green screen thing, but it's just kind of like you vaguely sensed the sensation of falling. So I didn't do the blue lock one. I think it was just like a photo op thing. I don't really know what the blue lock one was. There was a soccer ball. But yeah, the activations were a little underwhelming. So yeah, the bottom floor had a lounge with lots of cool decorations, lots of like neon signs. They actually had some arcade games there. They had like a Dance Dance Revolution type game. They had Mortal Kombat, Galaga, and a racing game. So that was cool. And then, of course, it had the event space down there. But the biggest improvement for Kodansha House this year was the inclusion of shoujo manga. Last year, there was no shoujo manga featured, which was honestly one of the major reasons I didn't want to attend last year. But this year, they featured 2 shoujo manga. They featured A Sign of Affection and Otakoi Love is Hard for an Otaku. So as we all know, shoujo manga has a hard time getting the recognition that it deserves from the manga fan community and honestly even the industry in general. So seeing 2 shoujo manga like featured in such a big way from Kodansha directly was so great. There are 3 mangaka guests doing signings and Q&As throughout the course of Kodansha House, and 2 of those are shoujo manga. The first one is Morishita, and the other one is the author of Otakoi Love is Hard for Otaku, who is Fujita? Something. So that I feel like is a major win for shoujo manga this year. I did try to talk to like anybody that seemed important that I ended up talking to. I tried to express how much I appreciated that shoujo manga was featured. I talked to some guys from Kodansha in Japan and told them that I appreciated the shoujo manga there. I was standing next to the CEO of Kodansha US, but he was like occupied, so I was not able to tell him thank you for featuring shoujo manga this year, but hopefully the message gets out there. So the main event, the Morishita Q&A and signing event, it was so much fun. I really liked Morishita manga. I didn't go just because it was a signing. Like I like A Sign of Affection. I am behind on it. I'm behind on everything. And I also really like a Butterfly, Hibichocho, and I've only read a little bit of Shortcake Cake, but that was pretty good. I think I need to read a little bit more to have a real opinion on Shortcake Cake. So this event was focused on A Sign of Affection because the other 2 series that Morishita does are licensed by Viz. So obviously they wouldn't be at Kodansha House. So this event was for A Sign of Affection. So Morishita is actually an artist duo. It's Makiro Sensei, who is the writer, and Nachian Sensei, who is the illustrator. There was no recording during this event, so I'm going to do my best to kind of like summarize and talk about my feelings on this as best as possible. So there was a Q&A. The first part of the Q&A was by a moderator. I think they were a librarian from the New York Public Library. And then there was a fan Q&A segment where anybody in the audience could ask questions. And then after that, there was a signing. And while the interview was happening, the artist was doing a live coloring of this image. And the audience actually chose the color, which ended up being blue. So this is kind of what I can remember from the Q&A portion. So they did talk a lot about their inspiration for A Sign of Affection and their experiences and kind of like how they work or learn like the sign language aspect of the series. So actually the writer Makiro Sensei said she was born with some sort of hearing loss. They did have a surgery to correct it, so I don't think it was a huge part of her life, and it seemed like it got corrected when she was very, very young. But it is kind of interesting that she has this kind of like personal connection to people who are hard of hearing. Also, Makiro Sensei said that she grew up near a school for people who were hard of hearing, so she was kind of exposed to that in her community in general. So she did learn a little bit of sign language when she was young, kind of like basic greetings like hello and thank you, and then like a song with the alphabet in it, where she did the signs. And she would see it around, she would see sign language being used around town. They also did talk about how they have a consultant for the manga that they talk to about experiences and also about like how to do sign language, like what are certain signs, so that they can put it into their manga. And in regards to drawing the sign language, the signs, the artist has to learn the signs from their consultant, and then they kind of isolate the like highlighted movements and draw those. And then sometimes in the manga you can see that there's like a motion, like there'll be, I don't know, they kind of try to illustrate the motion a little bit too. It seems like they have a lot of research and care go into the depiction of sign language in A Sign of Affection and kind of the experiences of people who are hard of hearing. So that was really nice to hear that they're like very well researched and that this story is like coming from their hearts. They talked a little bit about their process and kind of like how they work together. They did say that they met in high school and both doing their own manga projects and kind of bonded over that. And they both said that they were influenced by manga from a very early age, so that is really good. And then in their 20s, they decided to start to make manga together. They both seem like they're really good friends and have healthy conversations about manga, and don't encounter many issues while working together, which is really nice to hear that this duo who makes like these nice heartwarming series is also heartwarming in real life. One of the fan Q&A questions was about work-life balance, which I thought was a really good question to ask because manga is notoriously a job that is very hard on your body. There are a lot of manga artists who have to go on hiatus because it's very hard on you to draw manga. Makiro sensei has a family. I don't know about Nya-chan sensei, but Makiro sensei said that she has sort of a work switch that she switches on and off. So when it is time for work, it is time for work. And then when it is time for her family, it is time for her family. She has at least one kid. She has like a young, like 4-year-old boy. So she talked about him a few times and kind of like she specifically makes time to spend with her family. Nachian, sorry, I keep on messing up her name. Nachian sensei says that her motivation for getting her work done on the manga is that she wants to work on her personal projects, like her personal doodles. She wants to draw for fun, so she gets her work out of the way first, and so she can have time to do her doodles. And she said she tries to get her work done as quickly as possible so she can just like have fun drawing, which I thought was really cute. And then there was another question that was asked during the fan Q&A that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I feel like I could tell that Morishita was like kind of like, I don't really know why you're asking me this question, but the question was basically about had they like read or heard of A Silent Voice and if they were inspired by that series at all. So if you don't know, A Silent Voice is a series that has characters who are hard of hearing, and it is a wildly different story. It is about kind of the main character is someone who has bullied this girl who was hard of hearing and kind of his quest for redemption and making amends for that. It is like a good series, but it is very different from A Sign of Affection. I really don't like it when like people bring up other works that is like, I don't know, to me, these series are so wildly different that I wouldn't even consider them to be like a sign of affection to be inspired by A Silent Voice. So it didn't seem like an appropriate question. I don't know. But Morishita, I feel like, had similar feelings. they did mention that, like, yes, we know what a silent voice is, but they said that it's like such a harsh story, and it leaves you with like kind of like, or it deals with a lot of like bad feelings, and that a sign of affection doesn't have the same goals as a silent voice. It's more about good feelings, about romance, and about bridging the gaps in communication. They said that they were more inspired by their childhood experiences and not really other works. So I feel like they answered it very well. I just kind of wish that question hadn't been asked, but that's just me. They really did emphasize a lot that A Sign of Affection is a series about communication and bridging those gaps in communication. A bunch of random things that I remember. The artist said that she really likes drawing Shin because he's a hairstylist, so she can have like a lot of fun with his hair and his look because it changes all the time because of his job. And that like somebody like Itsuomi, you can't really change his hair because he's the main character, and people will be like, why are you changing Itsu's hair? Someone did ask them if there was a genre that they want to try out sometime in the future, and they both said that they really like writing romance, so that they don't really have any interest in like doing a story in, say, like a fantasy genre, in like another genre. They really like doing romance. My impression of Morishita is that they're both really nice and cute people. They just were like really lovely and sweet throughout the whole thing, so it really was a lot of fun. I did not ask a question during the Q&A. I wanted to ask something generally about like shoujo manga, their thoughts on like the shoujo manga industry, something like that. But I had 3 days notice for going to this event, and didn't even realize we could ask questions until I was there. So could not form a coherent question. I also kind of wanted to talk to them or ask them about the titles of their series, because they all have repeating sounds, like Yubisaki to Ren, Hibi Chocho, and Shortcake Cake. They all have repeating sounds in them, which I think is really cute and fun, and wanted to ask them kind of like what their thought process about the titles of their series are. But I'm sure that answer is somewhere on the internet. I'm sure they have answered it before. But yeah, okay, so the exciting part, these signings. So we all went up one by one. So Kodansha provided skishi boards with the image that they colored earlier. On it was the uncolored version, obviously, but they printed those for us, and then we could get one other item signed. And it seemed like it had to be a Kodansha item, so I did bring my volume 1 of A Sign of Affection. It was really nice that they spent like time talking to everybody. It wasn't just like sign, go, like they really like talked to you. And interacted with you a lot, which I thought was like really fun, because sometimes when you go to like signings or like meet and greets, the person that is the famous person is like just like really quick with stuff, and it's kind of like get everybody out the door. But it was a really nice, like you could have like a little chat with them. So my experience. So I was quite early in the line, and when I went up to them, I was very nervous. I did not think I was going to be that nervous, but I was. So for some reason, they thought that I had met them before. They were like, you look super familiar. Have we met before? Like, is this the first time we're meeting? And I was like, I have never met you before. This is the very first time. So I don't know why you think that you've met me before. I mean, there are 2 possible reasons for this. One is maybe they ran across a YouTube video of mine. I don't know, somewhere on Twitter, the internet. I've talked about A Sign of Affection on the channel before. I have pink hair, so it stands out pretty well. But the other reason, which I think is like a more plausible reason, is that I have a familiar face. I actually get this a lot. I have so many people come up to me and they're like, you look like someone. You look like my sister-in-law. You look like my cousin. Or my favorite one is, you look like a famous person. I don't know which famous person it is, but you look like somebody famous. I feel like I have a very familiar face. People see other people in my face. So maybe they just like were like, you look familiar. But a lot of people tell me I look familiar, but I'm like, I don't know who you are. So that's probably the more plausible reason. Anyway, I did end up telling them that I love shoujo manga and that I was really happy that they wrote such like a beautiful story in A Sign of Affection, and that has gotten like a lot of people interested in shoujo manga or reading shoujo manga and given it lots of like visibility. So they were very grateful for that. Other things we talked about, they really liked my pink hair and they were like, oh, pink is your color. And I was like, yes, I'm never getting rid of my pink hair. Don't make me get rid of it. And they also said that it made me look like Yuki. So that was cute. So that was my experience meeting them. They were so nice and so cute, and I'm so glad that I got to go to this. Other random thoughts about this event. The only negative thing I will say about this event is that it was kind of hard to hear. The event space, there was no real door. It was just kind of like a plastic like curtain thing to the event room. So you could hear all of the noise from the lounge. So of course they did have like microphones and there was a translator and stuff like that. But I was like trying to like listen to their Japanese, to them speaking Japanese. But they're a little more soft-spoken, even though they had the microphones. And so it was difficult to hear them at times, or it was like harder to focus. The noise was very distracting. So Kodansha House, if you're listening, maybe a real door in the future. Also, there are a lot of Morishita fans or Sign of Affection fans that also love the K-pop boy group Tomorrow by Together. The two girls next to me were TXT fans, and there was a girl in the front row who was wearing a TXT jacket. Looked like they just came from the concert that was like the day before. And it turned out to be content creator Cosmic Moonlight, Jen. So didn't find that out until we had both left. It actually does make sense for a lot of TXT fans to like know Morishita and A Sign of Affection, because Morishita has done artwork for TXT for some Japan release. I don't remember which one it was. But so it's not like just like a random like vibes thing. Like there's a connection there. But just the amount of like K-pop fans that I saw, like their little boy paper hanging in everybody's bag. After I left the signing room, I got my picture taken, or what was a video, I don't know, by some dudes from Kodansha in Japan. Did a little heart pose. So maybe appearing on the Kodansha YouTube page at some point. I did tell them thanks for the shoujo manga here. So that was good. Oh, and maybe I should show the things that got signed. That might be an idea. Okay, so I did get my copy of Volume 1 signed. I noticed when I got there that it's messed up on the edge, but it's fine. So I had them sign the title page. I was thinking about the front of the book, but I don't know. So they signed the title page. Just like that. And then the squishy board. So they personalized it, which was really cute. And then they asked which character I wanted there. So I said Yuki. So they drew a little Yuki face. But this is my little squishy board. And it's a big one. And this is the image that they colored. So yeah, really exciting to have this. I need to figure out how to protect it and frame it and where I'm going to put it. It's just like living in my cube shelf behind me. But yeah, I am super grateful that I got to go to this event. I feel incredibly lucky that somehow I made it off of a wait list somewhere to attend this really cool event. I feel like meeting like mangaka is really rare. So it's amazing that I was able to meet one and that I was actually able to make this happen. That was my experience at Kodansha House this year and the Morishita Meet the Manga-ka event. So Kodansha House is open until October 19th, 2025 in New York City. So hopefully this video will be out before it ends. So if you find yourself in New York City, then go check it out. Even just walking around the place is like really cool, seeing the activations and the exhibits and stuff like that. is really nice. The manga library, they have events like every night that they're open, so you can check out one of those. So thank you, Kodansha, for putting on this event and for featuring shoujo manga in such a visible way and inviting Sue Morishita, putting on this event, and for letting me win a ticket in your lottery. Really hope that next year in Kodansha House we also get shoujo manga featured. Hopefully the turnout to this event shows them that people really love shoujo manga. Alright, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more shoujo manga related content. That is all I've got for you guys today. I'm Chrissy Lou. Till next time, mata ne!